Behind the glamorous lights of TLC's 90-Day Fiancé, a much darker story was unfolding. Jenny Slatin and Sumit Singh were celebrated by fans as a couple who overcame every obstacle for love. They seemed like proof that love could conquer age gaps, cultural differences, and even family opposition. But what if everything viewers believed was just part of a carefully constructed image? What if the man who tearfully pledged loyalty on national television was secretly living a double life? According to confidential sources, Sumit was hiding much more than just emotional distance. He was allegedly involved in multiple romantic affairs, meeting other women in upscale restaurants across Delhi. Those who saw him were stunned. They saw not a married man, but someone presenting himself as a free bachelor, enjoying the company of younger women. These encounters were not isolated. Our sources confirm a pattern of meetings, secret dinners, and affectionate behavior with women who had no idea he was married. People close to the matter say Sumit carefully crafted a different version of himself when Jenny wasn't around. He used his minor celebrity status to access exclusive dating scenes, presenting a smooth and charming persona. He reportedly told these women that the marriage story with Jenny was exaggerated for reality TV. He implied he wasn't truly committed. Meanwhile, Jenny stayed at home, trusting her husband's excuses about business meetings and catching up with old friends. One eyewitness recalls a specific evening in March 2023. Sumit was seen at a trendy restaurant having an intimate dinner with a woman we will call Priya, a fashion stylist. They held hands, laughed together, and gave off the clear appearance of a couple on a romantic date. Just 10 days later, he was spotted again, this time with another woman named Anjali, an aspiring actress. The behavior was the same: affection, closeness, and no sign of a wife waiting at home. This repeated behavior painted a heartbreaking picture of deception. Why would a man who fought his own family to marry Jenny go down such a path? Psychologists suggest that after the excitement of fame and rebellion faded, Sumit may have experienced a deep conflict within himself. The reality of daily life, the pressure of their age difference, and the loss of youthful freedom could have triggered a need for attention and validation. Seeking out younger women might have been his way of trying to feel powerful and desired again. But while he was chasing this fantasy, a far more dangerous problem was developing beneath the surface. Sumit had started day trading in the stock market. At first, it may have looked harmless, even promising. He believed he could make quick money and become financially independent. But soon, the trading became an obsession. He began taking risks, putting in more money than he could afford. When small profits came, they only fueled his confidence. He took out personal loans, convinced that a few more trades would change everything. Then he went further, accepting money from private lenders known for their harsh interest rates and dangerous collection methods. The stock market soon turned on him. In early 2023, a string of failed trades destroyed everything he had invested. He didn't just lose his earnings, he created a massive financial hole. In total, he had racked up around $300,000 in debt. In India, where that amount is considered a life-changing fortune, this was financial disaster. The monthly payments were impossible to maintain. The private lenders were not patient. They wanted their money back, and they wanted it fast. At home, Jenny noticed something was wrong. She felt Sumit pulling away emotionally. He became secretive with his phone, stayed out late, and brushed off her concerns with quick excuses. If she asked about money, he said his business was slow but things would improve soon. The tension grew inside their small apartment. Then, the phone calls began. Unknown numbers would ask for him, using a tone that sent chills through the house. When Jenny picked up, a cold voice would demand to speak to Sumit. She was confused and frightened. He told her they were prank calls, but the fear lingered. As the pressure increased, Sumit tried to avoid reality. He dodged calls, delayed payments, and made empty promises to lenders. But eventually, legal action was taken. Court documents were filed. A formal investigation began. With mounting evidence and unpaid debts, he was taken into custody under a court order. After hearings and legal procedures, the judge issued a sentence. Sumit Singh received 7 months in prison. For Jenny, who had given up her life in America to be with him, this was more than shocking. It was devastating. While fans on social media continued to believe in the fairy tale they had seen on television, the real story behind closed doors was nothing like the edited version shown on screen. Jenny had fought for her happiness. She left behind her comfort, her loved ones, and her entire world for a man she believed loved her truly. But almost immediately after the wedding celebrations ended, the reality started to crumble. The distance, the lies, the affairs, and the hidden financial crisis all worked together to destroy what she thought was a secure marriage. Those who knew the couple say Jenny tried to hold on. She believed that love could fix what was broken, but she never imagined the depth of the problems. While she posted smiling photos, holding on to hope, Sumit was living a completely different life outside the frame of the camera. He was trapped in a cycle of lies, debt, and reckless decisions, unable to escape the consequences he had created. Behind the smiles, behind the romantic gestures shown to millions of viewers, a darker truth lived quietly in the shadows. A truth made of secrets, betrayal, financial ruin, and legal trouble. The show gave the world a love story. Reality wrote something very different. The stress was destroying him from the inside. Sumit became irritable, distant, and cold. The happy photos on Instagram showing romantic dinners and weekend trips were not what they seemed. According to people close to the situation, many of those outings were funded by the last of his credit card cash advances. He was desperately trying to keep up the image of a stable life for Jenny and for the followers watching online. But everything was slipping. The lenders had run out of patience. What happened next was unavoidable. Their private disaster was about to become a legal case in the harsh light of the Indian court system. In August 2023, 3 private lenders joined forces and hired a powerful law firm in Delhi. They filed a civil lawsuit against Sumit Singh for defaulting on loans worth more than $200,000. The remaining $100,000 was owed to formal banks, who began their own separate legal recovery process. One afternoon, a court official showed up at their apartment and handed over the summons. Jenny opened it first. The documents laid out the full amount of debt, the names of the lenders, and the legal accusations. She was stunned. In that single moment, all the small suspicions she had pushed aside came crashing down. She realized she had been living inside a lie. The lawsuit quickly became messy. Sumit tried to argue that the private lenders had charged illegal interest rates. Some of them had, but the contracts he signed were legally binding. He had no defense for failing to make payments. He missed several court appearances, angering the judge. The lenders' lawyers were relentless. They demanded the harshest possible judgment, not just to recover their money, but to make an example out of him. News outlets in India started reporting on the case. Articles appeared online calling him a reality TV star drowning in debt. Jenny felt exposed and humiliated. Everything she had tried to protect was now public. The court battle lasted several months. Each hearing brought more documents, more proof of debt, and more pressure. Witnesses from the lending agencies testified. Bank records were shown. There was no way out. In April 2024, the final verdict was delivered. The judge ruled that Sumit Singh had willfully defaulted and had committed financial fraud by taking multiple loans with no intention or ability to repay them. Instead of just ordering asset seizure, the court chose a harsher path. The judge said his actions showed a disrespect for legal and financial responsibility. As punishment and as a warning to others, Sumit was sentenced to 7 months in Tihar jail, one of the most feared prisons in India. The arrest happened immediately after the verdict. Security officers escorted him out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Jenny was present. She stood frozen, unable to speak as the man she had loved and defended for years was taken away. That moment broke something inside her. When she returned to their apartment, the silence felt heavy. Every corner of the home reminded her of the life she had believed in. Calls from friends, producers, and relatives went unanswered. She shut herself off from everyone. Her savings were gone. The money she had trusted Sumit with was lost in the stock market and loan payments. She was alone in a foreign country with no financial stability and no husband to turn to. In early May 2024, she visited him in prison. Sources described the visit as painful and final. Tihar jail was overwhelming, loud, and intimidating. Jenny stood in a crowded visiting area and waited. When Sumit appeared, he looked thinner and frightened. He tried to make excuses. He said the producers of the show hadn't paid him fairly. He said the market betrayed him. He blamed his parents for not supporting him. When Jenny asked about the other women, he finally admitted it. He confessed about the affairs, thinking that his current suffering would earn him forgiveness. Instead, it ended whatever remained of her trust. Financial failure could have been forgiven, but the repeated betrayal of their marriage was the final wound she could not recover from. Jenny walked out of the prison that day with a new sense of clarity. The woman who once believed in love above all else was gone. She returned to the apartment and made her decision. It was time to leave. It was time to end everything. With help from the American Embassy and a small circle of loyal friends, she hired a lawyer and filed for divorce. The official reason listed was adultery and irreconcilable differences. Serving divorce papers on an inmate in Tihar jail was complicated. But by late May 2024, Sumit was officially notified. People close to the situation said he reacted with anger first, then with desperation. He begged her to wait until he was released, promising to change. But Jenny's decision was final. She had forgiven him many times before. This time, the well of forgiveness was empty. According to Dr. Sharma, a psychologist familiar with such cases, Jenny's choice was a clear moment of emotional survival. She had endured years of uncertainty, public judgment, rejection from his family, and now public legal shame. The divorce process moved quickly since Sumit had no legal strength to fight it. By June 2024, Jenny was granted an uncontested divorce. A quiet court session made it official. She packed her remaining belongings, arranged documents, and booked a flight. At Indira Gandhi International Airport, there were no cameras, no farewell scene, just a tired 66-year-old woman walking through security with a single suitcase. She left India and Sumit behind forever. Returning to America felt strange. She moved in with her daughter in a quiet neighborhood, far from public attention. She deleted her social media, ignored reporters, and focused on healing. She felt embarrassment and grief. A decade of her life had been lost to a love story that ended in betrayal and legal chaos. Living quietly, she tried to rebuild herself. During this time, someone from her past gently stepped into her life. His name was Alex, a 58-year-old retired school teacher and widower. He had known Jenny through her daughter for years. When he learned about everything she had gone through, he did not reach out with pity, but with calm kindness. He called occasionally to check on her. He helped her reopen a bank account, get her paperwork sorted, and handle simple day-to-day tasks that felt overwhelming after everything. Alex became a peaceful presence in her life. After years of drama, chaos, emotional battles, and public exposure, his steady and quiet support felt like a lifeline. He did not ask questions she wasn't ready to answer. He didn't push. He just offered friendship in its simplest form. For the first time in years, Jenny felt the beginning of peace. The chapter with Sumit had ended in pain, but a new life, quieter and real, had begun. Alex was everything Sumit was not. There were no emotional games, no dramatic promises, no loud romantic gestures meant for cameras or audience approval. He was simply present. When Jenny spoke, he listened without interrupting, without defending, without making excuses. He made her laugh again, a sound that had disappeared from her life for a very long time. With him, she felt peace instead of anxiety, comfort instead of fear, and respect instead of constant doubt. What began as quiet friendship slowly turned into something more. For the first time in years, Jenny experienced a relationship that wasn't for viewers, wasn't controlled by television contracts, and wasn't surrounded by online debates. It was just two people finding comfort in each other's company. In early September 2024, in a private moment far away from the noise of fame, Alex proposed. Jenny, who once believed love had broken her forever, said yes. This engagement was not meant for TV ratings or sponsorship deals. It was a calm, steady promise made between two people who had both lived enough life to understand what true companionship means. Meanwhile, Sumit Singh was released from Tihar jail in late 2024 after completing his 7-month sentence. His release did not bring celebration. There were no cameras waiting outside, no fans cheering. He returned to his parents' home in Delhi, not as a celebrity, but as a disgraced figure whose reputation had collapsed. His parents, who had opposed his relationship with Jenny from the beginning, reportedly said they had predicted this outcome. Despite their disappointment, they took him in out of family obligation. Sumit now faces a lifetime of financial struggle. His name is tied to unpaid debt, legal records, and a very public scandal. The fame he once used to impress others has become a reminder of his downfall. He is isolated, jobless, and trying to rebuild a life with no clear path ahead. Jenny, on the other hand, is planning a small and private wedding with Alex in the spring of 2025. She has no interest in returning to television. Her focus is on peace, healing, and protecting the quiet happiness she has finally found. She spends her days reconnecting with family, enjoying normal routines, and rebuilding her confidence. She no longer lives for public approval. She no longer waits for someone to choose her. She has chosen herself. Despite all of this unfolding in real life, fans of the show continue to debate their storyline. Jenny Sladden and Sumit Singh from 90 Day Fiancé. The other way are again being discussed online, but this time for a different reason. Many viewers believe their journey no longer fits the original theme of the series. The show was meant to follow couples facing real struggles while relocating and adjusting to cultural differences. But audiences feel that Jenny and Sumit are repeating old conflicts with no genuine development. They accuse the couple of recycling drama just to stay on screen. Their story, once emotional and fresh, now feels out of step with the new direction of the franchise. Family tension still surrounds them. Recently, Sumit's aunt made a harsh remark, saying Jenny is old enough to be his mother. This comment reignited debates among viewers about their age gap and whether their love could ever truly overcome cultural judgment. At the same time, Sumit has revealed new ambitions. He wants to expand his cafe business and one day use it to enter the automotive world. He dreams of turning a small local cafe into the foundation of something bigger. Fans see it as a bold idea, but many wonder if he is ready to manage another major responsibility after everything that has happened. These new developments show a couple trying to hold onto relevance, fighting off criticism, and searching for a fresh identity beyond the show. Yet audiences remain divided. Some believe they no longer belong in the series and should move on. Others feel their continued presence is only for television exposure rather than genuine storytelling. During season 7, Jenny and Sumit shared that they were struggling financially after he lost his job and claimed they could no longer manage bills. He convinced Jenny to move in with his parents again. He also expressed his dream of running a successful cafe with the help of his family. Jenny struggled with this decision. Living with his parents reminded her of old conflicts. She still wanted her independence and her own space, but Sumit insisted this was their only option. Many viewers believe this money conflict is exaggerated for dramatic effect. They point out that Jenny receives Social Security benefits and that both have made money from the show over the years. They suspect this storyline is crafted just to secure another season rather than showing their real life. Fans also mention that after 7 years in India, Jenny is no longer a newcomer facing cultural shock. She speaks the language, understands the customs, and has lived with the family before. For this reason, many argue that they no longer fit the concept of the other way, which usually features Americans struggling to adapt to a foreign lifestyle for the first time. Viewers believe they would have been better placed in shows like Happily Ever After or 90 Day Diaries, where established couples show their lives post-marriage. Still, despite the criticism, one thing is clear. Jenny and Sumit once overcame impossible odds to be together, but that chapter has ended. Jenny has chosen a life without chaos, without lies, and without constant public scrutiny. Sumit is now living with the consequences of his past decisions. The love story that millions followed has come to a harsh end, but from that ending, a new life has begun for Jenny. She is no longer fighting to be accepted. She is no longer begging for respect. She has found it on her own terms. The world watched a fairy tale fall apart. But what came after was not another tragedy. It was the rebirth of a woman who finally understood that love should not cost your peace, your happiness, or your dignity. And this time she walks forward not as a reality TV character, But as a woman who has taken back her life, Alex was everything Sumit never was. He did not try to impress Jenny with dramatic gestures or big promises meant to make a scene. He simply stood by her side. He listened when she spoke. He didn't argue or accuse or twist her words back at her. He let her be herself without pressure. With him, she didn't have to perform or defend her choices. She could simply breathe. He made her smile again, a real smile that came from a place of calm instead of chaos. He represented the life she never had with Sumit, a life without constant drama, without emotional confusion, without the feeling that she was always one step away from being abandoned. With Alex, she found quiet mornings, peaceful conversations, and gentle companionship. Their friendship grew naturally into love, not because of television cameras or public declarations, but because two people who had both known loss and disappointment finally found peace in each other. In early September 2024, in a private moment without lights, producers, or scripted scenes, Alex asked her to marry him. Jenny, who had once believed love had ruined her life, said yes. It was not a moment designed for ratings. It was private, sincere, and healing. On the other side of the world, Sumit Singh walked out of Tihar jail in late 2024 after serving his sentence. There were no photographers waiting, no fan pages cheering his return. He slipped back into his parents' home in Delhi, not as a loved son-in-law or reality star, but as a disgraced man carrying a mountain of debt and a damaged reputation. His parents, who had once disapproved so loudly of his marriage to Jenny, reportedly said they had warned him many times. Still, despite everything, they let him stay because family duty outweighed pride. Sumit now lives in the shadow of his past choices, without money, without Jenny, and without the glamorous life he once chased. The fame that once lifted him now feels like a curse. His name, once trending for love, is now whispered with pity. While he tries to figure out what comes next, Jenny is moving forward. She and Alex are planning a small, quiet wedding for spring 2025. No television crews, no tabloid deals, just close friends, family, and a simple ceremony meant for real life, not reality TV. Jenny has no desire to return to the franchise. She is done being a storyline. She wants to live the rest of her life in peace, with someone who loves her without conditions or contracts. Meanwhile, fans continue to debate her past with Sumit. Many viewers feel Jenny and Sumit's continued presence on 90 Day Fiancé the other way no longer fits the original purpose of the series. The show was created to follow people adjusting to life in a new country with all the culture shock and discomfort that comes with it. But Jenny has lived in India for years. She understands the language, customs, and traditions. Instead of struggling to adapt, she is seen pushing back against cultural expectations, especially when it comes to living with her in-laws or following traditional household roles. This reverse dynamic makes the storyline feel out of sync with the theme of adaptation. Instead of the American adjusting to a new culture, the show often presents the Indian family adjusting to her, creating a different kind of tension that feels better suited for another spin-off. Family drama still plays a major part in their storyline. Sumit's aunt caused outrage among viewers when she openly criticized their age gap, saying Jenny looked old enough to be his mother. The comment was harsh and uncomfortable, but it reflected the long-standing tension the couple faced. Jenny tried to remain calm and polite, but the remark stayed with her. Sumit attempted to defend their marriage by insisting that their happiness was what mattered most. His mother, surprisingly, supported him and Jenny, saying that if her son was happy, she accepted it. But his aunt refused to back down, saying that community approval mattered more than personal choice. That moment exposed just how deeply rooted cultural expectations still were in their lives. Jenny had never planned to live with Sumit's parents, but financial strain forced them into that situation. She tried to adjust, but struggled with the expectations placed on her. Sumit asked her to wake early, help with chores, and behave like a traditional daughter-in-law. Her discomfort showed, and viewers criticized him for pushing her too hard just to satisfy family approval. For many fans, that storyline felt repetitive. They believed that after so many years, the couple should have moved into a stable life, instead of repeating the same cycle of conflict. Despite everything, Sumit continues to speak about his dreams. He wants to grow his cafe business and eventually launch a car brand, even planning to name a vehicle after Jenny. His ambitions are large, but viewers question whether he can follow through, especially after his financial collapse and jail sentence. Jenny, after everything she endured, still stood by him at that time. But now, her path leads somewhere else entirely. Fans argue that the couple's narrative has lost its original meaning. Instead of watching an American navigate a foreign culture, viewers now see a long-settled life filled with personal disputes, family pressure, and financial setbacks. Jenny no longer represents someone adapting. She represents someone standing her ground. She refuses to fit neatly into the cultural expectations placed on her. She speaks her mind, challenges traditions when they don't align with her values, and demands independence. This shift has changed the tone of their story. Instead of culture shock, the show now focuses on rebellion, power struggles, and personal identity. For some, this evolution feels out of place. For others, it is exactly what makes their journey compelling. But whether viewers support them or not, one thing is now clear. Jenny has stepped out of her old role. She is no longer the nervous woman begging for acceptance. She is someone who walked through heartbreak, humiliation, and public judgment and still found a new beginning. The show may continue to circle the same drama, but Jenny's real story has already moved forward. And this time, she is writing it for herself.